You all appear to be well-heeled ladies and gentlemen, and if Mr. Jones was to guess, which naturally he never does, many of you are also well-calloused travelers of the known world. Now, if you were to be asked what your favorite city is, you might say Paris or Rome, or perhaps even Mr. Jones's own natal backyard of Sheboygan. But wherever on earth it is, your memories and impressions of the place would be different from theirs. However, because we all generally self-identify with the human species, we also share the same ocular impressions of the places we've been. So, anyone here been to Paris? Yes. And what landmark besides the Eiffel Tower could you recall?
The Arc de Triomphe.
Excellent, yes, and the Louvre, the escargot. In Rome, have any of you been to Rome? Yes, and what landmark about Rome besides the Colosseum do you recall?
The Forum.
The Forum, yes. There's also Trevi Fountain, Vatican City, the unspeakable beauty of Sophia Loren. All right, so Mr. Jones has about 50 vintage cards, 51 if you include Mr. Jones. And they're all from places that Mr. Jones has traveled to. You see Tahoe, Havana, Istanbul, Malta, picturesque Long Beach, who knew? What Mr. Jones will do is flip the cards in front of you. You will say stop wherever you like and choose one of these cities, all right? Here we go. Let's get them there. Old and kind of stick together like Mr. Jones. Oh, go ahead.
Stop.
There we go. Take that. Don't look at it just yet. All right, ma'am, we're going to do the same thing to you, all right? Here we go. Sorry, go ahead.
Stop.
There, it's close enough. There we go. Take that. Look at it. And so you know the drill.
Stop.
Take that one. All right, you may now look at your cards. Mr. Jones will turn away. Once you've done so, clasp them tightly to your bosom. You all do recognize the city on your card, yes? Yes, very good. There's a particular landmark that you could recall about this city. Even if you've not been there, perhaps there's something on the postcard. Let's close our eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself at a travel agency. You see this city that you're going to advertised in a poster. You step forward, and almost like Alice in Wonderland, you go through and you find yourself in the city. You look around, you see the landmark, you reach out to touch it. Mr. Jones is getting the same image from all three of you. It's this undulating, serpentine line. But he's getting something else from you. Seagulls on the horizon of your city. There are seagulls there, are there not? No. Let's try this again with the, maybe put the undulating line in. Oh. Yes, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, this mysterious undulating line is actually a waterway. It's a very famous waterway. You'd know immediately where you are with it. It's the Nile River, where you would see the pyramids of Giza from Cairo. Is that your card? Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Tell us your name.
Carrie.
Carrie.
Yes.
Oh, Carrie. You're a bit of a troublemaker, aren't you, Carrie? Mr. Jones has something planned for you.
Okay.
If you would, take this notebook. And can you draw the image? If not, you could just write it down. You could just write what it is.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, all right. If you just take a step over there beside the gem and draw for us, and then close the notebook.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
Step forward. So what is your name?
Jim.
Jim. All right, Jim, let's see what we get from you. Also getting the waterway. This time it divides your city. It bisects it in an unusual fashion. There are boats on the waterway, but not these types of boats, Jim. This isn't correct. It's not boats with sails. It's more like barges, almost like canoes with one person rowing. Perhaps a gondola in Venice.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Picasso All right, let's try this with the little troublemaker. All right, again, there's a waterway, but it's all very fuzzy. You know, sometimes Mr. Jones does require a physical connection to make a psychic connection. Take a step closer. Step closer. Mr. Jones knows what you're thinking. Put your hand on Mr. Jones's shoulder and squeeze. Oh, yes, Mr. Jones is getting it now. All right. You know, it's still a little bit fuzzy, Carrie. There's tourist centers and restaurants and, oh, wait. Your image just shifted. It went from the horizontal to the vertical. And Mr. Jones knows why. There's a very famous street in this city. It has 8 hairpin curves. It's known as the crookedest street in America. It would be Lombard Street. But there's another more famous landmark there. Is there not, Carrie? Could you show everyone what you drew?
It's pretty bad.
Would that be the Golden Gate Bridge, Carrie?
Yes!
In San Francisco, yes? Yes. San Francisco.
Wow!
Here you go, Carrie. You may cherish this forever. There's also a trash can right outside. Thank you, mate. Oh, thank you.